let's talk about the aestheticization of personality.
The more boring you are in real life, the less people are interested in you.
Today I want to have a little chit-chat about my thoughts on trends and aesthetics, but specifically on how there's been an increase in content creators and influencers who are turning aesthetics into their online personas. The whole point of my chat today is to analyze people who take a trend or aesthetic and make it their own, but they seem to turn it into their personality rather than use it to expand or enhance their pre-existing style and lifestyle. So what is causing this phenomena and why? Recently, I was in this YouTube meeting where the host was talking about how you need to have a specific online persona in order to be identifiable and memorable to your audience. In his case, he is known for playing one specific game all the time, which I magically don't remember the name of. This got me really thinking about how content creators, influencers, or anybody that wants to really be recognized online or offline really has to work on curating everything from their filming style to their personality. Looking at it from that perspective, I think what this guy was saying really makes sense. People will only follow you if you're known for a very distinct thing. You need to have a niche, you need to have a specific reason why they would follow you. So if it's like Photoshop tutorials, that's it. Or if it's fashion, you need to be somehow noticeable, recognizable for a specific part about fashion. So for example, in video games, if you're making horror video games, you probably have to scream a lot and act really scared even if you're not scared, because that is how you're going to keep your audience. We see this across the board in many different kinds of people, most often with celebrities, actors, etc. We're able to reduce their personality, behavior, and lifestyle into one or two words, making them easily identifiable and memorable. I think embodying an aesthetic or style in any format really is almost a necessary strategy. Sorry, he keeps distracting me today. Is almost a necessary strategy for content creators. In this oversaturated industry, it's impossible to get noticed if you're not known for something specific you provide your audience with. Your audience needs to know you for that one niche in order for them to have a reason to stick around. I think this is why instead of showcasing our personalities online, a lot of us, including myself in the past, have leaned into curating a specific niche we'd get known for. You are always so needy when I film. I cannot believe you. After all, if you're subscribed to someone like Life of Riza, you expect every single video to have a cinematic style and not to be filmed with an iPhone. I think a lot of creators have to come up with some kind of quirk, persona, or trait that they can be easily identified with. Mine is very much against my will, maybe this cat, because he does not listen to anything I say. Every time I take the camera out, he's there to scream. It's like clockwork. Look at you trying to act silent now. I know you. What the fuck is that noise? Okay, well I guess I have a squirrel in my walls, so that's fun. I love nature. I think it's very rarely that someone like Best Dressed gets noticed because a lot of people don't have the patience or need to stick around to find out your fun or interesting personality or what important things you have to say. In the fashion industry especially, you either need to have money or an aestheticized personality and personal style in order to get noticed. And that is the case especially if you're making short-form content where people don't really get to see your personality. The fashion world is heavily reliant on trends and aesthetics, and it's easy to simply follow along. However, some people may take it an extra step further in order to look special or dedicated to the craft. Unless you're watching a long-form YouTube video like this one, there is no way for an audience to really connect with a fashion content creator online in the same way that they would connect, say, with a gamer. We're usually talking about or showcasing fashion, and including a quirky personality trait in there isn't really possible for most of us. So, if you visually look interesting from the get-go, that will get people interested in you. As a fashion YouTuber myself, I've noticed this happen a lot, but me personally, I hate short-form content and I'm low-key thinking of quitting it because every time I post, I get these 12-year-olds leaving the meanest comments. But I can see why many people would need that extra oomph in their personality, their style, etc. in order to gain more viewers. If they're not impressed by your personality, they must at least be impressed by your dedication to the aesthetic. You know, it's funny because this actually reminds me of the YouTube era of inappropriate or overly exaggerated YouTube thumbnails. They were so clickbaity, they were so inappropriate, like you would have just like straight up watermelons in the, I think it was Smosh's thumbnails. Exactly, it was pretty freaking gross, wasn't it cool? Not that you were even alive during that time. But like this, it was a strategy to get people to notice you, to be curious about you. The modern day content strategy. I feel like these days, if a creator embodies an aesthetic in their entire lifestyle, they're much more likely to get attention than the rest of us. Like, oh, this girl is so coquette, or hey, this guy dances and sings in every outfit video he makes. This is a pretty common tactic that I think a lot of creators use to rise in the ranks and get noticed. After all, if people know you for that one thing and you keep repeating it, it pretty much becomes the thing that they relate specifically you with. This can be applied to anything from your distinct filming and editing style to a topic you're choosing to obsess over because your audience is interested in it. For example, I make a different intro for every single long-form video that I post here, and that is part of my branding and my style. Because I come from a design background, I love to add a lot of little design details, motion graphics, etc., and that's just something that I like to make part of my branding, but everybody looks different, everybody's branding is different. I think this kind of stuff is most prominent in industries like video games, where you can identify a gamer based on what game they always play or what kind of screen presence they have. In the fashion world, it's usually something that was or is currently trending and is being blown out of proportion. The latest one I can think of is ribbons and bows and the whole coquette culture and the sub-styles that have come out of it. I'm not going to name names, but I know a few content creators who I followed before they rebranded themselves. Most of them had a pretty distinct personal style, but it's very rarely that people follow you because of your personal style or your personality, especially outside of YouTube. So I've slowly noticed some of these creators do a full 180 and jump onto a trend or aesthetic that more or less fits with their style. Except suddenly that trend or aesthetic made them very popular and now they're stuck being the face of it. If you're not the ribbons and fluffy dresses obsessed girl people thought you are, they have no reason to keep following you if you suddenly start posting pictures in street style outfits. Suddenly these content creators get a bow tattoo and revamp their whole home to look like the aesthetic. After all, you're not so coquette if even your coffee mug isn't covered in bows. I brought this one in hopes of deterring the other one because he's a little bit less crazy and he kind of does not like the other cat. So, hi, this is Pause. Everybody welcome Pause. Also, I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Jemi. I make fashion content, etc. So if you're new here, welcome and keep watching my content. In my mind, there's a huge difference between people who slowly curate a style that they've wanted to have for a while now versus people who take a trend or aesthetic and turn it into their personality. For the first case, usually but not always, this particular obsession, if you will, stems from something they've loved, adored, or related to as a child. For example, people who curate a Barbie, fairy, or witchy-themed home and style do not simply wake up one random afternoon and revamp their entire lives in a short amount of time to fit this new style. No, it's something that's been in the works for a long time, that's been slowly collected and curated over the years with a lot of thought and intention put into it. There is a difference between curating something that you've loved for a long time and throwing yourself into the depths of a trend or aesthetic in a short amount of time to get recognition. I think my first example is honestly a beautiful example of personal style and how it extends beyond fashion. I really respect the work and effort that these people put into making something meaningful and unique for themselves. With the second case, however, the reason for this hyper-specific style is not the same. It's probably not actually for them, but for their audience. Of course they must like it too in order to not go insane, but I highly doubt every girly girl has to have a pink ribbon on their coffee cup to function. This also trickles down to the kind of fake it till you make it attitude with influencers. If people presume you're a certain type of person and that personality of yours is garnering views, you now must keep up with that demand even if you can't afford to do so. I'm sure we've all seen a few of these influencers exposed videos of influencers faking being rich or faking being healthy, etc. There's many cases of fitness girls pretending to eat a big meal while secretly dieting, and supposedly rich people renting out mansions for a day to build their make-believe online lives, etc. Once you start, I feel like it's very difficult to stop because now you're glued to that identity. To end it could mean the end of a career for most. Especially the creators who thrive on short-form content that requires much more effort in terms of being extra or special in some way, but I feel like that's a video topic for another time. Being real is boring. I have to admit it, I'm sometimes a consumer of this type of content too. I find a creator who has the most cohesive Instagram grid, the most aesthetic outfits, the most pleasant and matching color palettes, etc. And sure enough, it's impressive, like kudos to them, cause my wallet and conscience would slap me to hell and back for even trying. But I'm getting tired of it, which is why I even made this video. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel tired of these highly curated online personas. Whose style is authentic to them, and how would we know? I'm honestly kind of sad that a lot of content these days seems to lack in authenticity and honesty just because of the fear of being boring or not getting noticed. Being real is boring and everything has to be a show or an adventure these days. As someone who's trying to go against that mode of content myself, I find it very isolating and painful to be a creator who's trying to keep it real. Because I'll be very real with you, it's not very lucrative from a business point of view to be yourself and to make content that just feels important to you. That would probably explain my painfully slow growth, huh? What I'm trying to say is that I find it hard to find meaning or value in most of the content I watch these days. I think that's why a lot of the creators that I watch or engage with may create trendy or interesting content but seem genuine and authentic in the way that they live and present themselves. It's also why I think vlog-style content is getting a bit more attention again. We're tired of watching highly curated personas, and I think we just miss real people. And I think I miss authenticity. And that's my 2 cents. So much is happening right now. A squirrel is scratching the insides of my kitchen. Somebody's mowing grass, I think, even though it's literally October 31st. And yeah, so much happening at the end of this video. Love it. This has been so chaotic as always. Let me know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so I can keep making this content instead of morphing my personality into an internet aesthetic. And as usual, me, this super loud machine, the super loud squirrels in my roof, etc. will see you next time.